All right, so today we are going to be talking about the VFD lab. To start, we'll talk a little bit about the wiring portion. They will be doing the wiring on night 1 along with the PLC lab, and the actual programming on night 2. So let's jump right into the wiring. I'm not going to talk too much about it, just a couple of things. It does get 120 volts to the top, and it will have 3-phase power that comes out of the bottom. Please just only have them put the 120 on the black and the white. The control wiring, these two in here, each have their own supplied voltage. So for the potentiometer, it gets 5 volts. And for all the push buttons, it's going to get 24 volts. So that is supplied by the VFD. They don't need to take 120 volts to either of those. If you're looking through the lab, you'll see it has a little diagram that just shows you how to wire it up. And then it's going to kind of be broken down into 2 parts. The first part is going to be for all of your push buttons. Just tells you that you're going to daisy chain the 24 volts to the line side of each one of the push buttons. They're going to use the red and green push button in this little standalone box here. And then they're also going to use this box here. They'll use the jog, which is a black button, and the reverse, which is a black button. Those are both wired normally open. Your run or your green is wired normally open, and your stop is wired normally closed, just like you would expect. And that's drawn here. Input 1 is your normally closed, which is your stop. Input 2 is your normally open green button, which is your forward. Input 3 is your normally open black button, which is your reverse. And input 4 is your other black button, also normally open, and that's going to be your jog. So the next thing that they're going to wire is going to be the potentiometer, which is this guy right here. I also have in the lab a little drawing that kind of shows how a potentiometer works. It gets 5 volts in, has the common coming out the other side, and then the output, which is your A1 on the VFD right there, that's actually receiving the signal. And when it receives that signal, it's going to modulate it's going to change the resistance, which will adjust that voltage, and it's going to tell the VFD to change the frequency, and that frequency is going to adjust the speed of the motor itself. All right, so I know that was a little bit confusing, but yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. There is 3 wires that go to it. That's drawn here, and on the device itself over here, I do have a little card that I made that shows the 5 volts goes to the top, which has a red wire. The A1 is in the middle with a black wire, and the common is the 3rd one down with the red wire. It also shows there's a space, then you've got your reverse, which is these 2, and your jog, which is those 2. And that all matches with your device over there. And then the night of the wiring portion, I will have already gone through and programmed these for you. So once they have it wired up, you should just be able to come over, press your reverse, press your jog, check your speed control, check your start and your stop, obviously, and all those buttons should already be programmed to work with the VFD. All right, so that's the wiring portion. Next, we're going to get into the actual programming, which is kind of a little bit more to it. This is what your demonstration device is going to look like. So let's get into it. When you first turn it on, you'll want to open the door here, and it'll either say NST or RDY. NST is freewheel stop, which just means that the motor is stopped. RDY just means that it's ready to be used. So it shows up interchangeably. It's really pretty much telling you the same exact thing. So the lab is designed so that they're putting a VFD on a conveyor at a factory. So I guess let's just jump right into it. You're welcome to read through the whole lab yourself if you want, but I'm just going to kind of jump into it. So always, to access the menu, you're going to press and release that white button. It should show REF on the screen. And then you can dial anything that's in that particular menu with the white button, and then just pressing the white button confirms that that's what you want to select. So if you're following along on the lab, I'm on number 1C right now, setting basic motor parameters. So we do have to tell this VFD what motor we're controlling. So let's get into that. So we do want to start with CONF, which is configuration mode entry. That's just going to be kind of our starting point for any of our configurations that we're going to program into it. Next, we're going to go over to full, which is our full configuration menu. This is where most of your configuration options are going to be found. And finally, I guess not finally, DRC, which is your motor rating submenu. So that's where you're going to put all your motor ratings. And BFR, which is base frequency. So this comes pre-programmed with a base frequency of 50 hertz. Since we're in America, we need to change that to 60. And you can also match that with your motor. Should say 60 hertz right on there. So select that. Now, if I wanted to go back a step, pressing escape would take me back one step, and I can keep pressing that until I'm all the way out of there. For this next one, I still want to be in that DRC menu. I'm just going to change over to NPR, which is the rated power. That's the horsepower for this motor. This one is rated at 2. So we'll change that up to 2. And once again, press select to press the white button to select. And the last thing we're going to put in for this motor is the rated current. I'm still in that DRC menu, so I don't need to step back. NCR, we will select that. Right now it thinks it's pre-programmed for at 3.5. This one is actually 6. So we're going to change it over to 6. And push to select. All right, so now we're done with the motors portion of it. We're going to step back and we're going to put in some parameters for the VFD itself. So going back into the configuration mode entry, we're going to swing over to ACC, which is acceleration ramp time. This is just how long it's going to take it to get up to speed. So right now it's at 3 seconds. In the lab, I have it set for 9 seconds, which is a pretty high time, but I just want them to really be able to see that motor slowly ramping up so they can get a good visualization of what it looks like. So there's your acceleration ramp time. Next, we're going to change the deceleration ramp time, which is just DEC, and it's the same thing. It's just going in reverse, how long it takes it to slow down. In the lab, I have that set for 5 seconds. And select on that. Now we're going to change the low speed limit, which is also right here in the configuration menu. It's just LSP. It comes factory preset at 0. That's the slowest the speed that the motor can be allowed to run. We're going to bring that up to 40. And white button to select. Then we will change the HSP, which is the highest speed the motor will be allowed to run. Comes factory preset at 60. It can go as high as 72. In our lab, we have it set for 70. And select on that. And those are all listed in hertz, by the way. So 40 hertz, 40 hertz to 70 hertz is going to be the range that they'll be allowed to change. All right, now we are done with that portion of it. We're going to step all the way back. So we're just going to keep hitting escape until it shows NST or RDY. And we're going to change it over to local mode. So we're just going to press and hold mode until it shows LOC. Now once it shows LOC, we can release. It'll go back to RDY, and you'll see this indicator light slowly changing between RAF, MON, and CONF on the side. That's how we know that we are definitely in that local mode and we are good to go. So I can press the green run button here, and the motor will slowly ramp up. It should take 9 seconds, which feels like forever. To get up to that 40, I can use my white dial as a potentiometer to adjust the speed. I can go all the way up to 70 hertz. And I can dial it back down if I want to. And I can hit the stop button. That's local mode. So now, once they've figured out all of that, we're gonna go ahead and program this bad boy to work remotely, and we'll kind of slowly start adding in the switches as we get through the lab. So first, we will need to change it out of remote mode, or out of local mode rather. So we press and hold mode again until it shows REM, which is remote mode enabled. Just release that. You'll notice that that indicator light is no longer cycling through the 3 things on the left, so we know we're good. So once again, to start programming some parameters on this bad boy, we're going to press the white button and release, and it should show REF. Now the first thing we're going to need to tell it is that we are using the 3-wire setup. It's described in a couple places here. It's here's your drawing from the actual book for this VFD. Essentially, with the 2-wire method, there's no stop button that's programmed with it. So LI1 is your forward, and then you have 2, 3, and 4 available for reverse, jog, or whatever. Or if we were doing the 3-wire, which is what we are using, LI1 is the stop button, LI2 is the forward. And then you have only 3 and 4 available for stop and jog and or reverse or jog or whatever. So since we are using a stop button, we're going to use the 3-wire method. So we have to tell it that because it actually comes factory preset for the 2-wire. So we're in here. Step back. Okay, we're back in REF. We're going to dial over to configuration mode entry. We're going to go to I_O, which is just input output. Somewhere in here. Oh, sorry, we got to go to the full configuration mode and then I_O. Now TCC stands for type of control command. And again, it's already at 2C, which would have the LI1 wired as the run button and no stop button. But we want that LI1 to be a stop button, so we're going to change it up to a 3C. On this one, you have to press and hold for about 3 seconds. While you're pressing it, you'll see that indicator light next to conf starting to flash. It looks like it's constantly flashing in the video, but it does eventually stop flashing, and you can release that. When you do, it should go back to TCC, and you know it has been selected correctly. All right. And that's all that we're doing for this one, where we just told it that we're on 3-wire. We've told it that we're in remote mode, so we're going to press escape repeatedly until we are all the way back to RDY or NST. This time it says RDY. We can close our screen if we wanted to. Now we have control of our stop, forward, and our potentiometer, which is our speed control. So if I press and release the green button, the motor slowly ramps up. Press and release the red button, the motor slowly ramps down. Again, I can ramp up. And I can use my speed control to adjust up or to adjust down. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but not a bad idea at some point to also go back and change your acceleration and deceleration times to 0, just so they can see the difference between what the motor looks like when it starts and stops without that ramp up time. And my light just went off, so yeah, we got enough light, we'll be fine. All right, so that's it for that step. The next step we're gonna do is add in our reverse button, which is right here. me see if I can't pull that. So back to this. You might be able to see reverse is listed on both of those, but it's listed as LIX, meaning that the input is not assigned. So that X means that it has not been assigned to anything. So right now the reverse button would not have worked. So we're gonna program that to get her working. So once again, we're gonna press our white button to enter our menu. We're gonna bring it back over to configuration mode, full configuration menu. We're going to go to the function menu, and we are going to go to RRS, which stands for reverse. Select that. Right now it shows N0, meaning that it has no assignment, right? It's telling us that we don't have a reverse button currently. Our reverse button should come pre-wired to input 3. So we're just going to change this to L3H. Select that, and that is good to go. Now we can press our escape button, going back to RDY or NST, whichever it decides to show us at that time. Now we can press, get it focused here, press and release reverse, and it will ramp up, and you can see it actually shows negative hertz to indicate that it's moving in reverse. So -40 tells me that we are moving in reverse. I can still adjust the speed with the potentiometer all the way up to -70 hertz and all the way back down to -40. I can stop it somewhere in the middle if I wanted to. Stop would obviously stop it. Something else that we can do that I have them doing in the lab is if you press the forward button, you'll see it slowly ramp down to 0, and then it just ramps right back up in the other direction. And that works both ways. If I press reverse while it's in forward, slowly ramps down, and then slowly ramps back up going the opposite direction. And of course, my stop will stop it. Okay, the next thing that we're going to add in is a jog button. The jog button will allow the motor to run at a very slow speed. In this case, it's 5 hertz, and as far as I'm aware, there is no way to change that 5 hertz to a different speed. So let's get back into it. Press our white button. REF should be on the screen now. Bring it back over to configuration mode entry. Bring it back to the full configuration menu. Bring her down to function, and just like we did for RRS, which was reverse, we're going to go to jog, which is jog. Now the same thing is telling us NO or N0, which means there's no input assigned to jog. In this case, we have it already wired up to LI4, so we'll change to L4H on the screen and press select. So now we just told it that our 4th input is our jog button. We can escape out of that back to RDY or NST. Now, with the jog button, if I just press and release, nothing happens. I have to press and hold, and I also have to press and hold a direction button. So in this case, I can only reach forward with one hand, and I'm recording with the other, so you only get to see it go forward. But press and hold both, and it runs at exactly 5 hertz. Very slow speed. If I release either button, it will stop. And that does work forward and backwards. You just have to press and hold the jog button first, and then either the forward or the reverse button. If you were to try to press the forward or the reverse and then the jog, it wouldn't register the jog. It would just get up to its regular forward or reverse speed, which should start at 40 hertz if this is potentiometer set to 0. And that is really about all there is to this lab here. We're going to go now and just clear out all the parameters that we just put into it so it's ready for the next person. So to do that, get back into our menu, swing over to configuration mode entry, go to FCS, which is right here, and INI, which is initialize. Press and hold that for several seconds until that flashing light next to confirm goes away. And now it should be all the way back where we were. You can always check yourself to make sure that we're back at factory presets. If I press the stop button, that should work as a start button now. Yeah, so now it's gonna try to run at 0 hertz. Yeah. And then it does weird things because it doesn't know what kind of motor it's running either. So that all tells me that we have reset the thing back to factory presets, and it is ready to go for the next person. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions. I'm happy to hear any of those. Thank you.